The planet was dead. No wind, no life, no sound, only dust, rocks, and silence. Then suddenly, a bright flash, a ship fell from the sky like a burning star, crashing hard into the ground. Metal screamed, fire lit up the dark clouds. A small patrol team from the human outpost ran toward the crash site. Commander Real, a tall man with tired eyes, gave the order, "Be ready. This could be a trap." But what they found was not a threat. A door opened from the broken ship. A figure crawled out slowly, an alien female, skin pale blue, body thin and shaking. She held something in her arms. It was a child, small and quiet, eyes closed. She dropped to her knees. Blood leaked from her lips. She looked up at the humans with fear and hope. "Please," she whispered, "just one bite." Nobody moved. The soldiers pointed their guns. Their scanners showed weak life signs. No weapons, no energy. The woman tried to lift the child higher. Her voice cracked, desperate now. "One bite. For him." Then she collapsed, her arms still wrapped around the child. The alien woman lay unconscious on the medical table. Tubes and monitors tried to keep her alive. The child was placed inside a separate glass chamber, breathing weakly. Lieutenant Mara watched them through the glass. Why did she say one bite? What was she asking for? She asked. No one had answers. Dr. Lin, the base doctor, checked the scans. Their DNA is strange, not fully alien. There's something familiar, something human, the commander frowned. That's not possible. Private Kellen, a young soldier with soft eyes, couldn't stop thinking about the alien child. He had seen the look in the mother's eyes. It wasn't fear. It was love, real, raw love. He walked to the food dispenser, took a piece of protein bar, hesitated, then walked toward the medical chamber when no one was watching. He opened the chamber slightly and placed a small bite of the food near the child's lips. Nothing happened. Then, a twitch. The child's mouth moved. He chewed slowly. Suddenly the monitors beeped, heart rate rising. Breathing stronger, eyes opened, glowing yellow for a second, then returned to normal. Kellen stepped back, confused and afraid. A red light flashed. One of the perimeter sensors went offline. Then another. Then all of them. They had lost full contact with orbit. Commander Real looked at the screen. Something's coming, and it knows we're here. The alien woman woke up. Barely able to speak, she turned her head, saw her child alive. A tear ran down her cheek. He ate. Thank you. She looked at the humans around her. Her voice was weak, but full of sadness. You left us? You left Earth? Everyone in the room froze. What did she say? Whispered Dr. Lin. The alien woman closed her eyes again. Her hand reached out toward the child or the soldier, no one knew. Then she went still, the heart monitor flatlined. Kellen stood quietly. The child was now sitting up, watching everyone. Then he spoke. His voice was soft, slow, like he was learning every word. Mom said humans would help. He paused. Were you lying? The room was silent as the child stared at them. All his voice was soft, but it cut through the air. Like a knife. Mom said humans would help. Were you lying? No one moved. No one spoke. Commander Real looked at Dr. Lin, who looked at Kellen, the young soldier who gave the bite. Kellen stepped forward slowly, his hands up. What do you mean by Earth? He asked. Gently, the child tilted his head, confused like the word. Earth was something old, something broken. The medical lights flickered, the base walls groaned. Something outside had changed. The storm was growing worse, but the sensors were not working anymore. A black signal jammed everything. Satellite lost perimeter breach and something was crawling beneath the surface. The alien woman's body was still cold and silent, but her skin had begun to change faint. Glowing marks appeared on her arms, almost like ancient writing. Dr. Lin ran scans again, and her voice was shaking. These are not tattoos. They are coordinates. Kellen stared. Coordinates to where? To Earth, but not now. To an older Earth, a version of Earth that no longer exists. Everyone was confused. Real leaned. And what does that even mean? Before she could answer, the child whispered again. She said this place was once green. She said humans were born here. But you forgot us. The lights went dark for 3 full seconds. Then they came back softer, dimmer end. Colder on the screens, outside something was moving in the fog, many things shapes. Like people but taller, thinner, like shadows, walking without weight. Kellen looked at the boy. Are they with youth? Child did not blink. They are hungry. They waited too long. They want to go home. Commander Real gave the order to lock down the base, but the controls did not respond. The door to the main entrance opened on its own. A figure stood there, quiet, no weapon, just eyes glowing like the child's for a moment, then gone. Real pulled his gun. Who are youth? Figures stepped forward, one slow foot at a time. I was born here, but I was human once, and you left us. The soldiers raised their weapons, but the figure did not stop. He placed something on the floor. It was metal, rusted, cracked. A piece of an old Earth flag. Its colors faded, but clear. This was not just a crash. This was not a visit. This was home. Mara spoke for the first time. We never colonized this world. It's unregistered, unknown, and toxic. Dr. Lin shook her head. No, it was erased, not forgotten, removed deliberately. There are no star maps with this planet's name, no record of the ship that crashed. But the alien woman had human blood mixed with something else, something they were testing. The child stood up weakly and walked to the glass. You wanted to make better humans, but we became something else. We survived when you left. We grew, we learned, but we never stopped waiting for you. Kellen S. face turned pale. We didn't know. The child smiled, but not kindly. Now you do. Outside the fog moved like water. More figures walked in the mist. Some held tools, some carried each other. None had faces the humans could understand, but they were coming. One of the soldiers panicked and fired a shot at the door. The figure vanished like dust, but his voice echoed inside their heads. You feared us, so you erased us, but we are still part of you. You can't erase blood. Commander Real ordered all exits sealed manually. The team scrambled to close doors, block vents, shut down systems, but the base was no longer theirs alone. Kellen turned to the child. What happens now? The boy looked up with tired, glowing eyes. Now you listen or you fall, because we are not the only ones coming. His body pulsed with light for a second, and every screen in the room went blank. Then a new signal appeared. One word. Origin. Mara tried to trace the source. It was not local, not even near. It was coming from deep space, from somewhere behind the sun. Coordinates unknown, known technology, but connected to the child, to the writing on the woman's arms, to the place humans forgot they ever touched. Earth had not just left them, Earth had locked them away. Now the lock was broken and something ancient was waking. Dr. Lin whispered without thinking. What if Earth was never our first home? What if this was? The child looked at her. Now you're starting to remember. Outside, the sound of metal bending echoed through the base. One door opened slowly, without command. Footsteps many, but no one dared to breathe. Then the child spoke again. Mom said, if I ever found you, I should ask for just one bite, but maybe now you are the ones who need it. Private Kellen could not sleep. He sat alone near the medical chamber, watching the child who had not moved in hours. The others were busy securing doors, checking systems, whispering about shadows in the storm, but Kellen could only hear the boy's last words. Maybe now you are the ones who need it. What did he mean? A simple bite of food had saved the child, or had it changed him? Kellen remembered the exact moment he gave that small piece of ration. It felt like kindness, but now it felt like something more. His hand hurt a strange pain under the skin. He removed his glove slowly and saw faint blue lines running along his veins like soft light. Just beneath the surface, he blinked hard, tried to rub it away, but it remained, and it was spreading. He looked back at the child, still watching, even with eyes closed. In the control room, Commander Real stared at the black screens. They were alive now, but different, not showing readings or systems, only one word pulsing across every panel. Orjamara tried to reroute the signal, but the command lines refused. She cursed under her breath. This is not code. This is language, alive language. She zoomed in and found something hidden inside the pulse. Heartbeat, but not human. Real leaned closer. Whose heart are we listening to? The signal changed again. This time it spoke in voice, the voice of the dead alien woman. You wanted power. You left your own children behind. Now the blood calls you home. The room went cold. Dr. Lin was studying the DNA samples from the child, and the mother. Something in the mix was unlocking. Human strands never seen before, dormant genes, old instructions like forgotten pages in a book. Suddenly remembered, she checked Kellen's scan from earlier. Something had awakened in him too. Human, but no longer just human. She ran to find him, but Kellen was no longer in the hall. He was standing outside in the storm. No suit, no protection, and he was breathing like the air was fresh, like it belonged to him. She opened the door to shout, but he turned first. His eyes glowed just for a moment, not like the child but similar, like a different version of the same. Truth, I can feel the planet, he said softly. It's not dead, it's sleeping. And we were meant to wake it. Then he collapsed. They brought Kellen back inside and put him in containment. His skin was changing, not alien, not infected, but stronger, like the environment had accepted him. The child finally stood again, walked slowly to the glass and placed his hand against it. Kellen opened his eyes and smiled. Mara watched the two like a mirror staring into itself from different times. What are we looking at? She asked. No one, the child spoke gently. You left the old you behind, but it never left you. We remember what you forgot, even if it hurt, even if it killed us. Real was losing patience. He gathered the soldiers. We are not here to mourn old mistakes. We're here to survive. If that means destroying the base, then so be it. The child turned to him. You already destroyed it long ago. You just didn't stay to see it fall. Now it's rising again, and so are we. Before Real could respond, another signal came through, but this time it was not from outside. It came from orbit, from Earth, a secret channel encrypted but old, buried in the system. No one knew it existed. Real played. Ida voice came through. Female human, tired. This is Project Eden Phase 1 colony vessel. Aegis has failed. Quarantine protocol initiated. Do not respond. Do not recover. Do not return. Mara's face turned white. Project Eden, it wasn't a mission, it was an experiment. Dr. Lin nodded slowly. They sent people to this planet not to live but to be changed, to test human limits in a new environment. Then they locked them out forever. The hybrids were not born monsters. They were born abandoned, and they survived. Kellen was awake, now stronger, his voice deeper but kind. He stood slowly from the bed and walked to the child. They looked at each other like family, maybe not by blood but by betrayal. The same betrayal. Kellen turned to the rest of the team. I don't think we should fight them. We should understand them, because they are us. The storm outside slowed for the first time. The noise softened, like the planet was listening, like it approved. But not all agreed. One soldier had locked himself in the weapons bay. He was scared, angry, confused. He sent out a signal to Earth, a message calling for backup, calling for bombs, saying the infection had spread, saying it was too late. He was wrong, but it didn't matter. The message went out now. Earth would come, but not with help, with fire, and this time there would be no more forgetting, no more leaving. Only what came after. The fog outside had thinned, but the silence was heavier than before, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Inside the base, the survivors gathered near the old control deck, where the signal had come through. Project Eden, 2 words that changed everything. Dr. Lin paced the room, eyes on her tablet, fingers shaking, not from fear but from understanding. The alien mother was not alien at all. She was human, altered, evolved, abandoned. Kellen stood behind her, quiet and calm, with blue lines still glowing faintly beneath his skin. Mara was staring at the ceiling, where new symbols had started to form slowly, as if the metal remembered something. The child stood by the window, watching the sky, where no stars were visible, now only a dull red glow far above the clouds. That glow was not from the sun. That glow was Earth coming, not to rescue but to finish what it started. Flashback 70 years ago, the colony ship Aegis entered orbit around this planet. It was a mission never recorded in public history, a ship full of selected candidates, gifted, young, adaptable families willing to leave Earth for a better future, but they were never told the truth of the ship was programmed to land here because the planet was unstable, toxic, yet rich with energy. They were told it was paradise, but it was a lab. They landed, they built, they waited for support. It never came. Then people started to change, not from a virus, but from the planet itself. The air carried something ancient, a memory, a design, a blueprint, too complex for machines, but too perfect to be accidental. Children were born different, stronger, strange. Some died, but some adapted. The adults tried to leave messages, tried to reach Earth, but one day all systems shut down. Orbit lost, and from Earth came silence, silence deeper than death. They were not just forgotten, they were erased, buried back in the present. Real looked at the surviving files with cold eyes. We did this on purpose. His voice was empty. Dr. Lin nodded slowly. We created them, then ran away when they became something we didn't control. Mara looked at the child. Then why save us now? Why speak to us at all? The Child did not smile because she told me tummy mother said, forgive them if you can try once but only once outside. More shadows appeared. The hybrids were gathering, not armed, not angry, just waiting. Some looked human, some not. Some held old toys built from broken ship parts. Some held hands. They had not come to fight. They had come to remember and to show what they became. Without help, without guidance, without love. Suddenly the base lights blinked. A new signal came in, not a voice. A map, a deep scan of the planet's core. Mara looked confused. Why would they send us this? The child answered without turning, because the planet is alive and it's dying, and when it dies everything connected to it dies too. Kellen felt it too, a pain in his chest, like pressure, like grief, like a song with no end. The planet had bonded with him, it had given them something, but now it was calling it back. Earth never saw that part. They only saw failure, but this world had kept its promise even when Earth did not, and now its heart was failing. The hybrids began to hum a sound that was not language but felt like one. Kellen stepped outside. Alone into the cold wind, they surrounded him, gently touched his shoulders, not afraid of what he was becoming, because he was becoming them, one of them, part of something larger than human, but still human, more human maybe than those who had sent the kill. Order inside. Mara received a new message. Earth's fleet was coming. 17 ships. One purpose: cleanse the site. No survivors, no retrieval. This time they would not make the mistake of leaving evidence behind. Commander Reel slammed his fist into the console. We did this and now we'll do it again unless we stop them. Mara looked at him. How we can't fight 17 warships. We don't even have orbit. Reel looked at the child. What can you do? The boy blinked slowly. We can't stop them, but we can show them the truth if they're brave enough to see it, but someone must carry it to them, and they will try to kill you before you speak. Reel turned to Kellen. You are already changing. Maybe they'll listen to you. Kellen nodded, not because of duty, but because this time he would not run. This time he would carry their voice, even if it was his last breath. Dr. Lin handed him a sealed container. Inside was the DNA code, proof of what the hybrids really were, not a threat but a miracle, a chance for Earth to remember its lost family. Kellen took it, held the child's hand and whispered, "I'll tell them, I swear, even if they shoot first." The child looked up at him. One bite, one truth, one last chance. The stars above were hidden behind the clouded sky, but Earth was still coming. The fleet would arrive in 20 hours, 17 warships with full strike protocol. They would not ask questions. They would not see the child. They would only follow orders. Cleanse, erase, forget again. Condor Reel stood in the hallway, staring at the wall where the hybrid symbols had started to appear, glowing slowly like veins of memory. He touched one and felt a pulse, not from the metal, but from something deeper. This base was built long ago, but it was built on top of something else. Dr. Lin confirmed it with a scan. The structure below was older than the colony ship, older than human. Technology, not alien, not artificial, but alive. The child sat in the center of the chamber, eyes closed, palms on the floor, humming the same soft tone the others sang outside. They were not calling for help. They were speaking to the world below them, waking it up, trying to tell it we're still here, still breathing, still worth something. Kellen entered slowly, body still glowing, veins like vines under his skin, voice softer than before. He knelt beside the child. "Are you ready?" The child opened his eyes. "You are the message now. Your body holds both blood. Your voice will carry what Earth forgot, but they will try to destroy you before you speak." Kellen nodded without fear. Mara paced across the control deck, staring at the fleet tracker as the warships moved closer. She wanted to scream, wanted to punch the sky itself, but instead she searched deeper into the hidden files unlocked after the origin signal, and she found the Project Titan, not a name but a lie. Earth had not only tested humans on distant worlds, they had tested something worse. An idea: could humanity survive without being told it was human? Could it evolve into something better, without rules, without control? The people on the Aegis were chosen not because they were strong, but because they were broken, lonely, desperate, expendable, and when they started to become something greater, Earth called them monsters. Buried the proof. Reel listened as Mara read the files aloud to the team. No one spoke, not even the soldiers who once followed orders without question. They looked at each other with shame, with guilt, and with something new, anger, because Earth had lied, not just to the colony but to all of them. They were not soldiers. They were cleaners sent to erase the truth outside. The ground shook slightly, then again, the hybrids stood still, but their eyes turned toward the north, where the mountain cracked open, revealing a tower buried in stone and time. Mara scanned it from orbit link. The signal is coming from there, not from space, not from the child, but from that tower. Real ordered a team to go, but the child spoke first. No, it is not for you, it will not open to fear, only to memory, only to blood. Kellen stepped forward. Then I'll go. He turned to the others. If this is the only way to show Earth the truth, then I'll show them everything. They gave him a drone to carry the message to the fleet. Dr. Lin sealed the DNA proof inside one capsule containing the hybrid code, the planetary bond, and the old Earth recordings. He carried it like it was fire, sacred and dangerous. Then he walked toward the tower alone. The hybrids watched him pass, but did not speak. Some touched the ground as he walked, like blessing his path. The wind was cold, but it felt like breath alive, guiding him. When he reached the tower, the door was already open, dark inside but warm. He stepped through, and lights followed him, soft blue, green, yellow colors he had never seen on Earth. Memories flooded him, not his but old humans walking this place barefoot, planting seeds, dancing under stars, children with golden eyes singing to the soil, laughter. Not war, hope, not fear. This was not just a test site. This was where humanity was born again. Then cast out at the heart of the tower, he found a chair grown from the floor itself. He sat. The tower spoke not in words, in feelings, in visions, a history never written. Earth was not humanity's first home, only its second. The first was this world where life touched thought, where the planet gave more than food, it gave purpose. But humans grew afraid of that power and left. Then, forgotten, when they returned, they feared what they saw, so they buried it again. Kellen cried without knowing why. Then he opened the drone, placed the capsule inside the tower core, and said one thing: remember us. Outside, the tower burst with light, shooting a beam into the sky, through the clouds, into space, straight toward the fleet. Every warship received the message at the same time, not code, not threat, but truth, unfiltered, undeniable. And now they had to choose to listen or to erase again. Asterisk. The sky above cracked with light as the tower's signal split the clouds like a blade. Every warship in orbit received the message, the voice of truth, the proof of what had been hidden. But Earth did not answer, not right away. Inside the human base, silence hung heavy. Commander Real stood near the main screen, watching the red signal turn white. The capsule had been delivered, but so had the warning. If they refused to listen, they would erase the world again. Kellen walked out from the tower alone. His skin no longer burned in the wind. His heartbeat had changed, not faster, not slower, just different, in rhythm with the planet. Every step he took felt like a drum, every breath like a page in a book only he could read. He had become something between human and hybrid, voice and vessel. He returned to the others and said nothing. They knew just by looking. Something inside him had finished growing. The child stood at the center of the courtyard, eyes closed, arms raised, face tilted to the sky. Others began to gather around him, hybrids of all ages, old and young, some barely walking, some covered in markings that moved like waves beneath their skin. They began to hum again, the same tone that Kellen heard in the tower, the song of memory, the song of origin. And slowly the ground beneath them shifted. The mountain rumbled again, but softer this time, not a warning, a welcome. Inside the base, Mara watched the scanner readings change. Something is happening under the surface, she said quietly. Real nodded without speaking. Then the signal came in. Earth Fleet Command 1 ship sent a single message voice. Only you are ordered to evacuate. Planet is deemed contaminated. Phase 2 begins in 20 hours. Mara felt her stomach twist. Contaminated, that was the word they used last time before they buried the first colony. Real smashed his fist against the wall, so they heard the truth and chose to ignore it again. Kellen looked toward the sky. They call it infection, he said, but maybe it's healing. Maybe the old version of us is the real sickness. And where the cure? Dr. Lin checked his vitals again. His blood was no longer the same. Cells were shifting, rapidly rebuilding. They weren't breaking down, they were improving. Strong immune response increased, cognition enhanced, nerve function, but still fully conscious. Still him, she whispered the words like prayer. It's not infection, it's evolution. One of the soldiers began coughing in the hallway. He had touched the outer wall earlier, thought nothing of it now. His skin was warm and his eyes glowed faintly in the dark. He was afraid but not in pain, just Overwhelmed, another soldier came forward and touched his hand, then stepped back slowly, eyes wide-eye. Feel it to not pain, just change outside. The hybrids opened the ground, not with machines, but with their hands, with the hum, with connection. Beneath the soil was a chamber old, full of roots glowing with soft light. Organic technology Earth had sent metal, but this world had grown memory from life itself. Real. And Mara entered with Kellen. What is this? Real, asked the child, answered from behind them. This is where we were born again, not from wires, not from war, from the planet itself. She gave us what we needed. When you would not now, she is tired now, she is breaking. Unless we heal her, unless we all choose together. Earth sent another message, final warning, evacuate or be eliminated. No options, no questions, just Lamara. Turned to Real. Are we still their soldiers, or are we something else now? Real looked at the hybrid children, digging with their small glowing hands at Kellen, standing without fear at the tower, still singing its signal into the stars, and he finally said, no, we not their soldiers anymore, or human. And that means more here than it ever did on Earth. Back in orbit, the warships moved into formation, weapons unlocked, targets locked, but something unexpected happened. One ship broke away. A smaller vessel moved toward the planet alone, no weapons active, just one life form on board. A message came through, soft, almost hesitant. This is Dr. Yara Ellen from Science Command. I read the file. I saw the truthium, not here to erase him, here to see. Kellen heard the message and smiled for the first time since the tower. Then come down, he said, Dan, bring no leeson. The next hour more soldiers began to show signs of change, not sickness, adaptation. The more they stayed on the planet, the more it spoke to them, not in language, in feeling, in memory. Some fought it, others accepted it. Some cried for what they had never known they had lost. They sat with the hybrids, ate their food, shared water, shared stories. For the first time in generations, humans and those once abandoned by them looked each other in the eye and saw not threat but mirror. Dr. Ellen landed near the tower with a light team, no guns, only scanners. Her voice trembled as she stepped onto the soil. I thought this world was dead, but it's more alive than anything I've seen, and I think we're the ones who've been sleeping. Kellen nodded slowly. Then wake up before they fire, because when they do, there won't be a second bite. The sky had split into color: red from orbit, blue from below, white from the tower that still hummed across space like a heartbeat refusing to stop. The warships above were holding position, but not forever. Dr. Ellen stood beside Kellen, staring into the horizon where hybrid children played among roots, glowing like stars that had fallen into the soil. She whispered the words softly, almost to herself. They are not infected, they are beautiful. Mara watched from the edge of the base, hands gripping the railing as another soldier removed his helmet, letting the strange air fill his lungs without fear. Change was no longer a threat, it was a choice, a calling, a truth. Returning home inside the chamber, the child was growing weak. His body was small, but the energy running through him was ancient, and old systems were never meant to hold such weight for long. The tower had shared too much, and the planet was beginning to feel the cost. Lynn held the child in her arms as his hands trembled softly against her jacket. He spoke without opening his eyes. She said, the bite would save me, but I think it saved you. Lynn closed her eyes. His skin was cold now, not from sickness, but from release, like something inside him had finished its work, like a book closed after the final page. But there was one thing left, one thing still unwritten. Kellen stepped into the chamber, his step slow, his breath steadying. His hand was the last ration bar from the first day, the same kind he had given the child before any of this had started. He looked at Dr. Lynn. She nodded without words. He knelt beside the child, opened the wrapper, and placed a small piece near his lips. The child smiled faintly. You remembered. Then he took the bite, chewed once, voice hand, swallowed, then silence, heavy, not empty, but waiting. The ground outside pulsed once, then again. The lights in the roots below flickered like lightning beneath water. The hybrids stopped moving. The soldiers froze. Dr. Ellen turned toward the mountain. As it cracked open wider, the tower shone with color not seen by any Earth eye before. A message left, not in language, but in life, in transformation. The child opened his eyes one last time and said the words like a whisper carved into stone. Now they know. Now they feel it, now they choose. And then he was gone, but the light remained floating from his skin into the air, into the roots, into the ground, into Kellen. Kellen stood slowly, tears falling from eyes now glowing like fire, but he was not in pain, he was overflowing, filled with something larger than sorrow, filled with connection, with voices, with memory. He turned to the group around him. He is not gone, he is part of me now, and I am part of you, and we are all part of her. He placed his hand on the Soyland. The entire planet answered with lighting orbit. The warships were readying weapons. Phase 2 engaged, but something was wrong. Their systems began to flash unfamiliar signals, readings off the charts, biological scans reporting unity with atmosphere. AI unable to define the source. The captain of the lead ship ordered visual. What they saw was not defense, not war, it was growth, life spreading from the tower like a web of golden roots, touching every surface of the world, touching ships, touching satellites, touching memory, and sharing it. One final message was received, a voice without fear, without demand, without anger, just truth. You left us once, will you do it again? On the ground, Commander Rio gave the order none expected. He placed his rifle on the floor and stepped outside without armor. He walked into the light and let it touch him. His eyes closed, and he smiled for the first time since arrival. This was not a mission anymore. This was home. Dr. Ellen recorded the moment, sent it back to Earth before the interference took over. A short message: they're not dead, they're not dangerous, they're better, and if we want to become better too, we need to listen, we need to stay, we need to remember. Back on Earth, debate raged behind screens and sealed rooms, but the people saw the feed, saw the children, heard the hum, and for the first time in 100 years, the people chose before the leaders could erase it. They demanded peace, they demanded answers, they demanded return. A week later, Earth sent not warships, but family, scientists, poets, farmers, healers, those willing to walk the soil not in fear but in respect. They called it Eden once, now they called it by its true name. Morgan Mara walked with a child beside her who once feared the sun. Now he grew food from his hands. Dar Lin opened schools beneath the roots where history was not just taught but felt, and Sinkellen sat beneath the tower, silent, still, watching it all unfold inside him. Was the last bite, but it was no longer just food. It was a seed, and it had grown into something the universe had forgotten, hoped to never be forgotten again.